Hello again to everyone in this video series called My Journey to God in a Secular World. This should be the 10th video clip. And I would like to spend this video clip on a article that I wrote several years ago. The title is "Only a Remnant of the MMP Will Remain." MMP means Marian Movement of Priests, founded by Don Stefano Gobi. This article was stimulated, you might say, when I received an email from a woman here in Italy who was very torn, who was part of the Marian Movement of Priests, and the title of her email was "The Silence of the Marian Movement of Priests." And I think since this movement was so, I understood that this movement was so important to Our Lady, which I am also part of. I spent some time gathering information in regards to this problem and the division in this movement. In particular, I'm talking after the death of Don Stefano Gobi. And so I spent some time in this, and you can find again, if you go to my website, in the index of my articles, the article called "Only a Remnant of the MMP Will Remain," and you can find the whole article in detail. I will only say a few words here to give a little idea, because basically what happened, if I could just say real simple, that after the death of Don Stefano Gobi, first of all, what I want to say is that in the messages of Our Lady, who truly brings us to true virtue and so on, she said several times in her messages, she doesn't want any structure. And she says there's no leader of this group except Our Lady. In other words, she didn't want some priest to take control and I'm in charge, I can command. And she wanted to be the one that leads it as a gentle mother. But what happened after the death of Don Stefano Gobi, there are certain people that immediately, even though up until the death of Don Stefano Gobi in June 2011, there was never any structure. Our Lady wanted the least structure possibly to exist in the church. And that's what it was, nothing else. But just to have the meetings to help people to become saints without, because Our Lady knows that when you get a structure, you get leaders. Pride is such a tremendous temptation, tremendous in our human nature, just tremendous. And so anyway, right after the death of Don Stefano Gobi, there's many priests in the movement. They organized to immediately make a structure. In fact, for the first time, they decided to write the statutes or something for the movement, which Don Stefano Gobi never did. And he understood that Our Lady didn't want it. And so these priests wrote the statutes, and then so that now we are in charge. It's like they didn't really have that much faith to let Our Lady guide it without a structure and because Our Lady really, what she's interested in individual conversions. She's interested in little groups getting together to pray the Rosary and adore Jesus in the Eucharist. That's what she's interested in with confession. Simply that. And so anyway, what happened here was that, which you can find in this article, that one of the closest friends of Don Stefano Gobi, he at the beginning he went along with this make a structure, but then you might say he changed his mind. This is not what Our Lady wanted, and so he wrote a letter. He wrote a letter to explain this, that this is not really what it should be, and in particular, in the few years right after, because Don Stefano Gobi died in June 2011. Pope Benedict, he gave his he left in February, I think February of 2013. So about a year and a half later. And as you well know, there became a great division in the church very quickly with the election of Cardinal Bergoglio. And so Padre Quartiglio wrote this letter saying that we don't need this structure. Our Lady just wants small groups of prayer and go on like that. And he also asked a very good holy professor, Professor Ivan, ex-Yugoslavia, who was in the movement many years with Don Stefano Gobi, to write a few things, in particular, at that moment, about the problem of Amoris Laetitia. And so anyway, what they did, these ones who wanted to control things, they had made statutes, and then they elected a superior from France, and he wasn't too happy with Padre Quartiglio, of course. In fact, he really operated like a dictator. In fact, he even told Padre Quartiglio that since I'm the superior now, what I say goes, and that's it. He wouldn't talk with anybody. And so there was quite this division, and in particular, Maurice Laetitia, a person who looks at it simply like, like the four cardinals who wrote the Dubia. They explained very well. There's a fundamental break, with the teaching of the church for 2,000 years, with the Maurice Laetitia. And so anyway, what happened? At a certain point, I helped Padre Quartiglio to translate this letter into English, and then I printed out a few in Italian. And when I went to these meetings, in particular the international meetings in June every year, I gave many people Padre Quartiglio's letter, like at lunch and so on. Then when we celebrated the Mass in the afternoon, after the Mass in the sacristy at Colle Valenza, this French superior, Laurent, he treated me very, very badly. He just hit me as hard as he could in the sacristy, and even had a professor from the Marche to do the same. And after they just hit like that, then they just run off. They don't stay there to talk like two adults. Let's seek the truth together. No. I command, he hits and hits, and then he runs. And then he had another professor do the same to me, and then he scolds me, and then he gets out. I mean, it's like people, immature people. They don't know how to dialogue with calm. How can we seek what God wants in this situation? Very simply, looking at the documents of the church, the writings of saints, they just had to be exactly the way they wanted to. Immature, insecure people. These are the ones who have taken control of the movement. And there's now a great division. I will continue with this this talk on this problem here in the next video clip. May God bless you and Mary guide you.